First of all, I would like to thank to Harry and Grace for taking time out of their busy schedules to join us. Before we go any further, let us introduce ourselves, but even though Mr. Harry or Miss Grace already know one of us. We are international relations students from Lawarman University, and now we would love to hear your thoughts and guidance regarding our discussion today. Thank you once again for being here. First, I am Ubaydillah Yasin. You can call me Ubay. Can you introduce yourself, Harry and Grace?
Both of us?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yep, my name is Harry, and I am a PhD student from Australia, from the University of Western Australia. And previously I studied geography and agriculture for my bachelor's S1. Untuk S2 I studied international development, and now I'm studying my PhD. And I came to Indonesia in January, and I'll be here for 1 year to do my research.
Okay, my name is Grace Ula, and I'm here as Harry's research assistant. Thank you.
Okay, the first question is from me. What motivated you to conduct research abroad or in another country?
Because I studied international development during my master's degree, I wanted to get more experience in other countries, because I've only visited 3 countries in my life: Australia, Indonesia and India. So I don't have that much knowledge of other countries around the world, so I thought it was a good opportunity to do my research and live in another country for 1 year. And that's allows me to get more knowledge about international development rather than just Australia, an Australian perspective.
I'm gonna introduce myself. My name is Mutiara Septia Andini, and you can call me Mutiara. And my question is, why did you choose Indonesia as your research destination?
My first time in Indonesia was at the start of 2024, and I came here to do an internship and some study, kind of a study exchange trip. And I did an internship, magang, at Koneksi, which is like a research organisation between the Australian government and the Indonesian government. And during that internship, I was able to see how research happened in Indonesia, and also what opportunities there are for Australians to do research with Indonesians and collaborate between our 2 countries in research. So from that experience, and then an exchange program, the IEP, Australia-Indonesia Youth Exchange Program, I developed more of an interest in Indonesia, and that's why I chose to come to Indonesia.
Next question is for me. My name is Aurelia. You can call me Aurel. So, based on your experience, what difference do you see in infrastructure development between Indonesia and other countries you have visited? What are the strengths and weaknesses of each countries you've been?
Good question. I've only visited 3 countries: Australia, Indonesia and India. I was only in India for 2 weeks, so maybe I don't know much about India. So I can compare Indonesia and Australia. I think the biggest difference that I see between infrastructure development in Indonesia and in Australia is that, firstly, Australia is obviously a little bit more developed country. It's also got a very much smaller population, so it's much easier for the government to spend more money on infrastructure. But the big difference I see is there's some places in Indonesia that have great roads, and they build very good roads, and then it's the ongoing maintenance and those sorts of things of roads. Because Indonesia is so big, it also has earthquakes, flooding, natural disasters. It makes it really hard to keep infrastructure good, like after it's built. So that's one big difference. In Kalimantan, another thing is in Australia, even in remote areas, like rural areas, we don't have, some places have asphalt roads, but lots of places are not asphalt, just dirt roads, gravel roads. And so we have that, but those gravel roads are also maintained. You can drive on them okay, like they're pretty good. Whereas in Kalimantan, 2 weeks ago, we visited Mahakamulu, and the road between Samarinda to Kubar was pretty rough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very rough. And so I can see a big difference in the maintenance. But I think it's not just like the government's fault or anything necessarily. It's also because of the natural environment and the rain and the flooding and things like that makes it really challenging. What else? It seems like the difference between Australia and Indonesia, if I can say it frankly, is that our infrastructure systems seem a bit more organised. In Indonesia it seems less organised, but it still works. Like people still transport food and transport goods along the road. They transport mining products, gold or coal and things like that. It just seems a little bit less organised, but maybe that's because I don't understand it completely yet. Hopefully that answers the question. Is that okay?
That's really interesting.
Good.
Next question from our friend in the gym.
Yeah. Hello.
I hope everyone is healthy, you and Kades. And first of all, I would like to apologize to both of you because I couldn't attend this in person because I have another schedule. But I will still join this meeting through Google Meet, so I apologize again if any inconvenience like before my class, and thank you for your understanding. So my next question is, in your opinion, how do you development and sustainability influence one another in a country? Okay.
Yes, good question. I was trying to prepare for this question before, and it's a big question and a really hard question. It's like the question I would get in my exam for my master's degree. And I would have to think about it for hours. I guess the main thing is they do influence each other, like the development, whether it's by the government or whether it's by international development organisations or like the World Bank or something like that, or if it's by the Indonesian government, they influence a lot, right? Probably more than we can think about, more than we see sometimes. Like even most people wouldn't realise, but a lot of the roads, my research is on roads, I should say that. A lot of the roads that are built actually receive funding from other countries, and if it's not money, then it's assistance, like engineering assistance or things like that. So that's international development. That happens with roads, but most people wouldn't see that, wouldn't know that. So development impacts more than we probably think about sometimes. These bigger processes, not just local at the scale of the kecamatan or something. It's also bigger than that at the national level and then international level. So that's maybe how development impacts people is a lot. I find it interesting to think about how people influence development as well, and sometimes that's really hard to notice as well. That can be hard to understand. Sometimes we think that development happens to us, but we don't do anything to shape development. But a lot of things can shape development. I'm trying to think of a good example. One obvious thing is like voting and stuff. That's more politically, how people influence politics is quite obvious. I'm trying to think of a more interesting example. I think what I focus on in my research is looking at kind of the everyday ways that people influence development. So I'll give an example with roads. People can influence how roads, not only how they're built. Like, for example, someone decides not to sell their piece of land because they don't want to sell their land, and the road has to go around their land or something like that. That's a very simple example. But once a road is built, people use them in different ways. So people use them for their own economic reasons, social reasons, migration, to move to the city. It's easier to move to the city, so social connections. People also can use them in kind of negative ways, so increased crime or transporting of drugs or things like that. So all of these things, in one way or another, influence back into the development system, if that makes sense. It can be hard to notice and hard to see, but it's interesting to see how people also influence the development that happens. They're not very good, maybe clear examples, but what I'll say is it's sometimes hard to notice how people influence the bigger systems, but we all do in some way, and sometimes in really interesting ways. Yeah. I'll stop there for that question, but I'll keep thinking, and maybe when we finish this I'll try and think of a better example, because that's actually a really good question. Great question.
No worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I can have a conclusion, it means that make people want to do a development, infrastructure or anything, and also development can influence society, people, and makes them improve themselves. Is that the conclusion?
Yeah, I guess the aim of development is to, if you were to define what development is, it's to improve the lives and outcomes, the life outcomes of people. So it might be social, education, economic, environmental, anything, right? To improve the life outcomes of people. Sometimes development has negative impacts on people as well, right? You might develop a mine somewhere. The government might choose to help build a mine in remote Kalimantan, and that will negatively impact some people who live there, right? But it will also positively impact them, maybe, in some ways. So, yes, improving the lives, but also we have to be critical about the balance of kind of negatives and positives, which always happens.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hari, and thank you juga buat Kak Grace.
No problem. Thanks for your question.
My name is Isnaini Latifah. You can call me Shofiya. So our next question is, how do you see your role as a part of international or transnational community while conducting research in another country?
Yeah, another good question. I was trying to think of an answer to this as well. It's a good question. It makes me think, makes me reflect on myself, which is hard to do. I think my main role, so I'm just a PhD student, right? My research is not going to change the world.
Yeah, it's fine.
It can be small, it can be a small project, it can contribute some way to, human knowledge and stuff like that. But as a PhD student, I don't see myself as being in that kind of role. Some bigger researchers can help people a lot more and can help people's development, for example. But my role, I think I see as more as playing one small part in the connections between Australia and Indonesia. That's the biggest thing that I see. So making connections and friendships with people in Indonesia, and the existing network that I have in Australia, it helps to kind of, in a small way, strengthen the connection between Indonesia and Australia. And if we have a lot of people doing that, which there's a lot of Indonesians in Australia, or just in kind of networks with Australians, and there's a lot of Australians in Indonesia studying, doing research, working, and in our own small way, we help to contribute to the strengthening of our country's relationship, basically. I think I mentioned the other day that the people-to-people connections between our countries is super important, and probably not more important, maybe as important as the connection between like our the President of Indonesia and the Prime Minister of Australia. Like that's important, but what's really important is kind of the everyday people like me who help a little bit, hopefully, with our country's relationship. I think does that answer the question?
There is no any more question, but I'm still penasaran, curious about what is the reason you're learning international development?
Yeah, generally?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mentioned my undergraduate, my S1 was in geography and agriculture. They're very broad disciplines, broad areas. Geography is very big, it's a big area of study, and agriculture is kind of very different, but they have a good connection. So I became really interested in how I can connect my thinking about like science and the environment and people. I study human geography, so not geography about volcanoes and earthquakes. I did a little bit of that, but mostly focused on humans and how people relate to their environment, how we relate to each other, how we relate to our government, things like that. So I became interested in how science, agriculture and things can connect with humans and how things work, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so I was originally interested in food security. So I'm not sure if you know much about food security, but food security was like my big interest. I wanted to know how people can help their own food security, have enough food for themselves, plus being involved in the international kind of economy, that kind of thing. And then I became a little bit less interested in agriculture and more interested in people. And so I became really interested in how people's lives happen and how they're kind of impacted by processes of politics or environmental change or economic change, things like that. Yeah.
We also learn about the geographical too. And can we ask more question?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Bagaimana ya perkembangan kayak the development of technologies in Australia and Indonesia just Australia. Can you explain it by your opinion?
Development of technology?
Yes.
Like the differences between Australia and Indonesia?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can answer that. That's a good question. That's a hard question. It's hard to say. I mean, Indonesia, like just general technological change. I think it can happen.
We don't have tap water.
Sorry?
That's fine.
Yeah. There's some obvious differences, like we have clean drinking water straight out of the tap, right? In your kitchen, you turn on the tap, you can drink. If I have a shower, I can drink the water, like directly, right? Like, so there's some obvious kind of infrastructural differences, technology differences. I think in Australia, the big thing is we have a very small population. We have 30 million people. Indonesia has almost 300 million, right? Like, it's to influence technological change takes a lot longer to happen in such a big, diverse country. If it's technology like infrastructure, like water or roads or anything like that, or if it's like technology for manufacturing, like making things, that also can take longer as well, just because of the sheer size of Indonesia. It's so complex and so big. So I think that's one big difference I see. But I mean, there's still technology everywhere now, right? We all have phones. We all have kind of, now that everyone has phones and computers, everyone's more equal in the technological race, if that makes sense. It's just like the bigger economic technologies, like manufacturing or mining. Like our mining technology in Australia is probably one of the best in the world, right? It's really, really efficient. And Indonesia's maybe behind a bit in mining technology. But I don't know too much about that necessarily, but yeah.
As we know kan, Indonesia itu there's a lot of people who live in luar negeri gitu kan. There's a lot of
imigran. Terus kayak there's a lot of people who come to Australia. I wanna know kalau apakah kan di sisi ini banyak orang yang mau ke Australia gitu. Nah, sedangkan apakah penduduk Australia itu juga ada yang malah pengen keluar dari negaranya gitu?
Okay. Is there any Australian who wants to
kabur aja dulu? Yeah. Question. Yeah.
You want to keep right now because of the fuel price?
Yeah, true. Actually, yeah. Right now, currently, I think there's a lot of Australians who would love to come to Indonesia because of the cost of fuel, like BBM cost, or the cost of living, cost of housing, so expensive in Australia. And obviously our, the exchange rate of our money to Indonesia is obviously very good, right? Australians come to Indonesia, we have much more money than we have in Australia, kind of thing. So that's one example why maybe some people want to come. There's a lot of Australians moving to Bali. Bali's like Australia's backyard, does that make sense? Like so many people go to Bali, so that's one example. I'd say there's less Australians who would like to move to other parts of Indonesia. Jakarta, obviously, if they're in business or they have a job in an international company or something, there's lots of people who've moved to Jakarta and Bali, but other than that, lots of students actually. Lots of students want to move to Indonesia for 1 year or 6 months to study. I have lots, and Grace and I both have lots of friends who have moved from Australia to Indonesia for 1 year or something like that. So there's lots of people who want to do that. In terms of moving, like many Indonesians want to move and then gain permanent residency or citizenship maybe in Australia. I'd say there's less Australians who would like to permanently move to Indonesia. I think most people would like to come here for maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years, but they have plans to return to Australia. Most of my friends at university, lots of them are Indonesian, and they come to Australia on scholarships, and they have to return to Indonesia to work for a certain number of years. The conditions of a LPDP scholarship or RRS is they have to return to their country, to Indonesia, to work for a while. But most of them would love to stay in Australia. Less people from Australia who would permanently move to Indonesia. And I don't know about other places in the world, I'm not too sure. Mostly it's just for travel, just for holidays and stuff. Lots of people travel to Europe and stuff like that. Yeah. Any other questions? You can just bebas aja, just ask whatever you want. Yeah.
Mungkin lebih ke pengalaman Kak Grace aja nih gantian.
Enough about me.
Kalau selama Kak Grace ke Australia itu tuh apa aja perbedaan yang kakak rasain antara Indonesia sama di Australia?
Kalau perbedaannya banyak banget sih, jujur hampir semuanya beda. Samanya cuman aku mau bilang sama-sama makan nasi, tapi mereka juga nggak terlalu makan nasi gitu. Dari semuanya beda, dari culture-nya, budayanya, cuacanya, lingkungannya, budaya kerjanya, karena aku magang kan di sana, budaya bekerjanya itu semuanya sama. Dan yang paling aku suka karena aku tinggal di Canberra, dan aku selalu kasih tahu orang soal ini karena Samarinda itu kan padat banget ya. Betul, aku padat dan berdebu dan panas dan pokoknya aku nggak suka. Maksudnya aku tetap suka di Samarinda, cuman lingkungannya itu tuh nggak banget, kita tuh nggak bisa kemana-mana. Kesini kalau kita tanya di Samarinda kalian nongkrong di mana sih selain di kafe sama ke big mall, gitu kan, ke mall. Udah itu doang. Nggak apa-apa sih, tapi kalau kesana itu ya nggak bisa. Kalau kamu mau, kalau anak muda jam sekarang kan pengen healing gitu. Kamu kesana tuh sekali udah kelar, bosan. Gak mungkin kamu kesana tiap hari gitu kan. Jadi, dan terutama aku bukan tipe anak yang suka ngafe. Aku bukan tipe anak yang suka ngafe, dan aku ke mall itu kalau ada perlu doang gitu. Bukan tipe yang suka jalan-jalan gitu. Mau shopping juga uangnya nggak ada gitu kan. Jadi di sana itu aku suka banget karena banyak banget tempat terbuka yang kalian tuh bisa nongkrongnya di sana aja gitu. Cuman memang jarang kafe. Jadi kalau teman-temanku, aku nggak tahu kalian ya, tapi teman-temanku ada beberapa yang memang anak nongki banget lah. Kalau kamu anak yang nongki, suka di kafe, mereka pasti testimoninya beda sama aku. Mereka bakal kayak, ih susah banget, mau beli kopi susah, pun ada mahal, udah gitu jam 5 udah tutup gitu. 5 sore udah tutup. Sudah tutup semuanya itu. Bukanya jam 9, tutup jam 5. Gitu. Yang buka sampai malam itu cuma pub doang. Dan itu ada sih yang ini, tapi rata-rata alkohol gitu kan. Dan beda lah, bukan kayak kafe di sini. Kafe di sini kan emang bener buat nongkrong aja gitu. Nah, kalau di sana di atas jam 5 itu udah bukan yang nongkrong kayak kita doang. Nah, jadi mereka itu anak-anak yang nongki ya nggak suka karena sepi, kafenya nggak ada, jam 5 udah tutup. Cuma aku suka banget karena aku suka cuma kayak jalan ke taman, ke danau, dan itu tuh semuanya tuh bagus, bersih, dan di sana itu banyak banget hewan yang karena mereka sangat melindungi hewan-hewannya ya. Jadi di sana itu aku suka banget, burungnya itu banyak banget dan semua itu cantik-cantik. Dan aku suka alamnya itu lebih kerasa lah, nggak ada polusinya tuh, nggak ada, udaranya itu segar. Jadi aku cocok banget di sana dan itu sangat berbeda di Samarinda. Aku di sini nggak pernah jalan nggak pakai masker. Saking banyak debu, aku nggak tahu kalian, tapi aku nggak tahan. Semenjak aku kan dari Tenggarong ya, pertama kali ke Samarinda itu aku udah kayak, aduh debu banget gitu. Cuma sekarang udah mulai terbiasa, cuma tetap aku pakai masker. Sepengap, seberisik dan seberdebu itu Samarinda menurut aku, dan di sana itu beda banget gitu. Itu sih yang paling aku suka dan berkesan buat aku. Cuma buat orang lain yang suka nongki tidak rekomendasi, terutama di Keymer.
Aku punya pertanyaan lainnya Kak, kayak selama Kakak di Australia itu Kakak ada ngerasain nggak kayak dibedakan atau ada rasis gitu ke
iya
orang
rasis gitu ya,
Asia Tenggara?
Kalau aku pribadi, aku nggak ada sama sekali. Karena aku itu magangnya itu di tempat khusus imigran sama pengungsi. Jadi semua orang di sana tuh nggak ada satupun deh kayaknya. Ada deh satu yang kulit putih, tapi dia tuh kayaknya Eropa bagian mana gitu. Tapi sisanya itu tuh berjilbab dari Timur Tengah gitu-gitu. Jadi kami semua yang di tempat kerja itu ya berbeda, bukan orang kulit putih yang ada di Australia gitu kan. Jadi aku di tempat kerja itu aman banget, soalnya semua orang di situ minoritas. Termasuk aku. Jadi di tempat kerja aku aman. Terus keluarga aku emang keluarga bule. Cuma mereka tuh baik banget, sangat-sangat baik. Jadi aku merasa aman-aman aja. Terus aku juga Kristen. Mereka Kristen. Jadi aman-aman aja, aku mau makan babi juga gak apa-apa gitu kan. Mungkin agak berbeda sama teman-temanku yang misalnya muslim kan, pasti ada yang berbeda lah gitu, terutama kalau dia harus tinggal di keluarga yang beda kepercayaan sama dia. Nah, jadi aku merasa aman banget di tempat kerja, aman, di keluarga juga aman, walaupun aku berbeda secara ras. Cuman ada temenku delegasi lain yang merasa dirasisin. Itu nggak gimana-gimana sih kasusnya. Mereka itu naik, karena kan kita kemana-mana di situ tuh pakai bus, pakai tram kayak kereta listrik gitu, dan mereka tuh berjilbab dan mereka merasa itu tuh waktu mereka naik itu tuh ada beberapa yang kayak sinisin mereka atau bahkan kayak ngelempar sesuatu ke arah mereka, nggak ke merekanya, cuman ke arah mereka, karena memang di sana itu aku udah beberapa kali ngeliat ada anak nakal kayak di sini juga ada anak nakal gitu kan, di sana juga ada gitu, dan kebetulan mereka lagi tidak beruntung hari itu dan ketemu sama anak nakal itu dan mereka pakai jilbab gitu. Cuman kalau aku pribadi aku nggak ada sih, mungkin aku kurang lama kali di sana. Gitu.
Mungkin kan kalau tadi kita udah tahu Kak Hari motivasi untuk studi abroad tuh apa. Nah kalau misalnya kalau Kak Grace sendiri apa yang membuat motivasi Kakak untuk sampai ke Australia?
Kalau alasan basicnya cari pengalaman. Memperluas pengalaman, dan kebetulan aku memang tertarik aja sih sama belajar hal baru. Jadi kan aku ilmu komunikasi di Unmul ya. Jadi aku di ilkom itu salah satu alasan aku ngambil ilkom itu karena aku tertarik sama komunikasi antar budaya. Jadi itu emang salah satu passionku gitu. Dan karena di ilkom itu aku cuma belajar 1 semester komunikasi antar budaya, aku tuh sampai ngambil di kampus mereka itu 2 kali. Aku ngambil 1 di Unmul tapi di FIB, sama satunya lagi di UGM. Karena aku saking tertariknya sama itu. Jadi kalau ada kesempatan untuk belajar budaya orang di luar negeri, itu pasti aku ambil selama kesempatan itu ada. Dan kebetulan yang Australia kemarin rezekinya dapat gitu. Jadi itu.
Kak Grace sama Mr. Harry, thank you for the time and input. We truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Ya, sama-sama. Thank you.